What is up, Mets fans? Back here for episode number 24 of the Mets'd podcast. I'm your co-host, Giraffe Neck Mark Luino, here with James Shiano. Jeter had no range, talking New York Mets baseball, as we always do after every single series. The Mets just finished up a fantastic 4-game series against the Chicago Cubs. 3 wins, 1 loss, and even that loss really didn't bother me. I'm sure it didn't bother James. If you're a Mets fan bothered by this one, I feel like that's on you at this point, because everything with this team is pointing upwards. Everything's trending upwards, and this team's only going to get healthier, better, playing better baseball, beating better teams. It's looking really good for the New York Mets. Now, before we do get going into all the stuff and all the details, you know I got to give a plug here. So make sure if you're listening to us, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, follow us there. Make sure you watch us on YouTube as well, Mets'd Podcast. We've been uploading all the episodes to YouTube. Going to drop some other videos on there as well. And if you're listening, and if you're following us on Twitter and Instagram, Mets'd. Very simple. We keep it nice and easy over there. Everything's been growing. We've been having a great time. James, how are we feeling after the Chicago Cubs series? First, immediate thoughts. What are we thinking?
I feel great. The Mets just took 2 series from heading into this past calendar week, 2 of the better teams in National League, and we handled them pretty easily, both Padres and the Cubs. I feel very good.
Yeah, we were told the Mets can't be good teams. We were told the Mets play in the NL East, so their record doesn't matter because that division's terrible. But you look at the last few series the Mets have had, and we're beating teams that are technically above 500 and are good. I mean, I know the Padres are struggling, but part of the reason they're struggling is because of us. It's because they ran into a good New York Mets team, and this Cubs team was hot. They just came off of a sweep against the Cardinals the previous weekend, and what do you know? The Mets stopped them.
We did stop them, and again, none of these games really felt like 100% comfortable the whole way. Like these two, the Mets and the Cubs were pretty well matched. Like there were a lot of close games, a lot of very important plays that happened, some timely hitting, some very good defense on both sides, including the Cubs tonight, who did play a pretty clean baseball game. But a lot of the games could have gone every way, and a lot of these games that can go every way, the Mets seem to take them, which is a very good sign for a team.
Dude, that's something that the Mets just haven't done in a very, very long time, is win the close games. Win the games that we shouldn't even sometimes. Games that we think are like typical Mets losses. I mean, we talked about the Padres one last time with Diaz coming in for that 4-out save. We had some scenarios where Eric Sogard in one of the games almost beat us. He's a typical Met killer, a guy who does nothing all season against anyone, but he shows up against the New York Mets and we get the job done. Of course, we'll get more detail into that, but let's start off with Game 4. That's the most recent one here. We did it last week. You guys seem to really enjoy it because it's one of our best episodes that we've had, so thank you guys. You got us up to number 48 on the Apple Podcast rankings for baseball. That's cool for 2 reasons. 1, top 50 podcast. We've been doing 23 episodes. And 2, 48, Jacob deGrom, best pitcher in baseball, best podcast in baseball. I think that's how it works.
That's exactly how it works.
That's exactly how it works.
It's clean math.
Yes, clean math. Don't look it up. Don't check any numbers or anything like that. But hey, Game 4. Let's talk about it. It's the most recent one that happened. And there's not a whole lot to talk about. The Mets just simply got beat. That's going to happen sometimes, especially when the Cubs did play just a straight-up good game of baseball. But Stroman on the mound, a little shaky start, but he settled in.
No, he did settle in. He made literally 1 mistake the entire game. It just happened to come to Javier Baez in the first inning with 2 strikes too.
Yeah,
if I remember.
He made him look foolish on the first 2 pitches out of the zone. And as we know with Javier Baez, who has like a 38% K rate and like a 2% walk rate, and he chases. He has one of the highest chase rates, I think, in the league as well. Just don't throw him a strike. He refuses to walk, even though I think he got 1 or 2 walks a series, which is not Javi Baez-like. But this is a guy who is trying to hit a home run every single time he steps up to the plate, and if he doesn't care. He will go down swinging. That's Javi Baez's game. Unfortunately, we threw him a strike with 2 strikes.
Yeah, absolutely. Stroman just hung him a slider. Like, I think he was intending to throw a pitch on the outside, the pitch that cut away from him, and it worked the rest of the night. Stroman was getting tons of whiffs on his off-speed pitches, which I'll get into in a second, but sometimes you just get beat. Javi hit a couple of big home runs this series.
Yeah, I mean, when he connects with the baseball, he's going to hit it hard. He takes what I like to call a war hack, which is just simply swinging as physically hard as he can. This Cubs team takes some hard hacks, like Wilson Contreras, too.
Jock
takes some hacks. I mean, like, Rizzo even crushed a couple balls this series. Wisdom, yeah. Like, they just have dudes who go up there and go, I'm going to swing as hard as I can. Now, some of these guys, like Anthony Rizzo, shorten up with 2 strikes. Javi Baez is not one of them.
No, Javi Baez doesn't know what shortening up means.
That's not in his vocabulary.
No. We also found out tonight while watching the game, I don't know if the listeners at home are aware of this, but Javier Baez has a tattoo of the Major League Baseball logo on the back of his neck. We were so shocked we had to look it up because Mark could not believe that that's actually what the tattoo was.
Well, it's crazy because like when you wear a jersey or you have one, that's basically where the MLB logo on the jersey goes on your back, is like right on like your spine, on your neck. to have a tattoo there is bizarre, but apparently he's not the only guy either, where you told me Wander Franco has one too.
On the side of his neck.
Yeah, I guess this is a thing that people are doing now, MLB logo tattooed.
He hasn't even made the show yet.
Yeah, cool. I don't know. That's a weird tattoo.
I think it's the opposite of cool. I don't know why they're supporting the league. Like, how would the players union feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, we know what's been going on with all these rules that MLB's just been dropping out of nowhere. I'm shocked that you would put the logo of the bad guys on your back.
It's really weird. It's not like it's cool like in the NBA where it's like Jerry West, like an ode to the legend. Like, that's not even a person.
No, that's
an unmarked man.
People are like, make a Ken Griffey now. Like, that'd be cool. I'd be cool with that, but whatever.
Would you get that tattoo?
No, still wouldn't get that tattoo. I'm not a tattoo guy. I'm 150 pounds soaking wet. Tattoos aren't looking good on this body.
All right, now that we've talked about your body enough, let's go back to the game. Back to Marcus Stroman here. It was a very good game for Stroman. He's been getting at least 6 innings. I think his last 3 starts. Again, whiffs, strikeouts, but something that was like not that cool tonight was the Cubs were lacing the ball. Like, that happened. They put 9 balls in play of at least 100 miles an hour. Not that much fun. And he was still getting his normal ground balls. He had 8 ground balls today versus 8 fly balls and line drives, which is like basically his season average 55%, because that's 50%. But all those balls at 100 miles, not all of them, most of those balls at 100 miles an hour were in the air and not on the ground. So you're leaving yourself an opportunity to be hit hard, as Stroman was. Luckily tonight they found the gloves. But as Stroman does when he gives up a lot of hard contact, he got tons of whiffs. Stroman, we've seen him do this multiple times this year, where he can kind of oscillate between being a soft contact ground ball pitcher and being a whiff. I guess I don't even want to call him like a fly ball pitcher, a hard contact pitcher.
Yeah, just a guy who's looking to get swing and misses, trying to get strikeouts.
Yeah, which he did. Like, his splitter had 6 whiffs on 12 swings, tied for the most times he's used that splitter in his career tonight. There were 25 times, which is really cool. It was splitting, as I like to say. The slider had 4 whiffs on 7 swings. One of those 3 swings, again, was a Javier Baez home run. Sometimes you hang one. It happens. You're playing with fire. You're going to get burned.
I wonder, it's also like worth noting that the Cubs, I think the first 4 batters only saw 8 pitches, which is also crazy.
Yeah.
Because they got the home run. Javier Baez saw 3 pitches in that bat. So the other guys were aggressive early, and I think that's something that you're going to see a lot of teams do a lot more with Stroman.
Definitely.
Especially because he does just pepper the zone.
Yeah, Bryant hit that hard single right before on his first or second pitch of the at-bat. I think Jock also lined out in the first or second pitch to start the game.
Yeah, no, they were aggressive real early.
Yeah, and another thing that Stroman did on the other side that I don't really like is he was still just pounding his zone with that sinker. Pounding. He threw it more than 50% of the time, which I said it before, I'll say it again. Marcus, I know you're listening. Like, that 4-seam fastball is a very good pitch. It's such a good pitch. Like, you could really get some guys out with it. His sinker tonight, the Cubs swung at Stroman's sinker 25 times tonight and whiffed only twice.
That's not a high rate right there.
Not that good. And they had 14 foul balls. So maybe they weren't making the hardest contact all of the time, but it just wasn't exactly the put-away pitch. And not that it was an issue. No damage was done in that sinker tonight. None. But there were plenty of hard hit balls in that sinker, and that's a situation where you could run into trouble.
Yeah, and like when we go into these deep dives with all the pitchers, like a lot of times, like we're giving you the information. It's not necessarily like trying to say anything's wrong or that there's an issue, but it's just like food for thought, where next time if something happens, like you can think back, oh yeah, against the Cubs, his sinker wasn't getting a lot of swing and misses. That's why we brought it up, is because it's just something you look forward to, give you a little more information when you're watching the next start, something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
But really, the story of the night was just that the Mets didn't hit.
No, they didn't hit at all. And the Mets have had a problem with Hendricks as long as I can remember. Besides that 2015 playoff game when they got on him, they've never, ever, ever hit Hendricks in the regular season, ever. I learned tonight, they've never given Kyle Hendricks a loss.
And I was convinced in that playoff game he got a loss, because I was there, and I was like, they ran him out of the game. But I guess they didn't give him the loss.
No. That's it. Mets only had 3 hard hit balls the entire game off of Hendricks. They had 5 total, just very uncompetitive at bats, a lot of balls on the ground, a lot of lazy fly balls, just not much really there.
That's kind of what Kyle Hendricks does. He lulls you to sleep. He throws 88 miles an hour. He's got the lowest average fastball velo, I think, in the league that they said for a starting pitcher. He doesn't have that blow-away stuff, but he just gets the job done unless he's facing the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, that's another thing I told you that you didn't believe me tonight.
I didn't believe you at all.
In 2 starts against the Braves this year, Kyle Hendricks has given up 14 earned runs.
Which is crazy.
In 14 starts he's made against the rest of the league, he's only given up 23 earned runs. You just can't beat the Braves.
Just can't do it. They have his number, which, whatever it is, I wish the Mets had his number.
But
luckily for us, we don't have to see Kyle Hendricks the rest of the year until the playoffs. So we're done with him. We can move on. This game, the Mets just lost. The Cubs played a very clean game. They got the lead early, and they never relinquished it. They just won 2-0. That's simply it.
We had those 2 mini rallies, the first, second inning. VR hit the double, couldn't bring him around. Billy Bombs hit the double, couldn't bring him around, and that was literally it.
And it was nice, I think, to note, too, that we saw Trevor May get another outing tonight, and this will lead perfectly into Game 1. Game 1, he didn't have it. The last 2 games of the series, though, Trevor May, it looked like something clicked again, and it's worth talking about as well that Jeremy Hefner, he had an interview during the game, and he was talking about, using the bullpen, working guys, dropped something that I don't know if this is necessarily what was wrong with Trevor May, but it felt like a weird thing to bring up about tipping pitches and then immediately go to Trevor May's struggles. So to me, I don't have any information that says that Trevor May has been tipping pitches. And as James has said in previous episodes, his command just hasn't been good. He's been missing spots. But if you're missing spots, leaving the ball in the zone more, and you are tipping your pitches, that could be one of the reasons why Trevor May has been giving up these nukes like he has recently. But the last 2 appearances have been great. So I think that we can turn the page there now. Go to Game 1, which was a nice win for the Mets.
Game 1 was a great win for the Mets. I was in attendance on Monday night, and I wasn't the most confident heading to the ballpark on Monday. Just Mondays aren't that great in general, and David Peterson had not been that good in general. The Cubs had been pretty good coming off a sweep, like we said. This is kind of fun to time travel like this.
It is, right?
I like starting with the most recent game and then jumping back.
Yeah. And especially with the Cubs, too. Destroy left-handed pitching.
Yes.
Destroy it. Even Rizzo this year. I know in the last episode we talked about, against lefties, he's not as good. This year, though, he's been outstanding against lefties.
It was kind of a weird thing that the Cubs benched Baez on Monday night. Coming into a game so hot with a soft-tossing lefty on the mound, who actually, Dave Peterson was not soft-tossing on Monday at all. Threw the hardest pitch of his career at 96.2 miles an hour. But generally, he's more of a soft tosser. He's not throwing with the velocity that many of the other best pitchers in the league use. It was kind of weird they would have taken their foot off the gas pedal like that.
David Ross made a lot of really questionable decisions with the lineup these games. Like the deGrom game, he just threw out an absolute lame duck of a lineup. Like everybody felt like they were sitting. I know Bryant got hit in the hand early in the season, so they were early in the series, so they rested him a bit.
Tuesday got hit in the hand.
Yeah, but they were throwing out some guy. Jose Lobaton played too much. If he touches the field, he's playing too much.
I couldn't believe he's still in the league.
I didn't know that Jose Lobaton had a pulse still. I thought Jose Lobaton
he was dead?
I thought Jose Lobaton was dead. I
thought
that this guy was just gone. He was back in wherever he was from and just didn't exist in Major League Baseball. He's seemingly on the Chicago Cubs. His last game he played was with the Mets.
I didn't even know that.
That's the craziest thing. So the last time he played was with the Mets.
We saw a lot of Sergio Alcantara. Alcantara? Yeah, Alcantara.
Alcantara. I'm not sure what the
way too much of him this series.
Yeah, and he didn't do much.
No, nothing. But again, dive into Game 1 for a second, because Peterson was a story on Monday night. 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs. What more can you ask for out of the guy? That's, as I've said before, a handsome box score. But I think it is important to know that does not tell the whole story. This isn't like David Peterson's fixed, David Peterson's good, David Peterson's back on the upswing again. 100% not. Cubs had 7 hard hit balls in just those 6 innings. 5 of them were over 100 miles an hour. You only had 8 whiffs in the whole game. And just as a frame of reference, let me compare that to Diaz had 5 in the 9th inning alone on Monday night. Take that for what you will. That's not David Peterson's game. He went back to the sinker, which I predicted last episode.
Yep.
Kind of cool. He just letting the Cubs hit it and letting the Mets make good plays. And we made good plays. Defense was A+ on Monday night. We were shifting all over the place, everywhere we had to be. That's great. And over half of the balls in play the Cubs hit were ground balls. So that's the recipe for success for Peterson. Simplify the game. Get some innings. Let your defense make plays behind you. Don't try to strike out the world. Don't try to be the best pitcher in the league. And you can be successful.
And luckily for us, the Mets bats were alive too. We got some hitting from McCann and Pilar, which Pilar had a fantastic series, got started in Game 1.
Yeah.
We also saw Dom go yard. We jinxed him, which is great. I'm happy to jinx Dom. Yeah. We talked about his struggles last episode and talked about how maybe it's time to move him down the lineup. He had a better series, but I think we're still in the boat of he's fake fixed. He's almost the Peterson of the offense where yes, the numbers when you don't go too deep into them, he's playing well. Mm-hmm. But if you look deeper into the numbers, you go, there's still, he's not there yet. He's not back to where we need him to be, but it's good to at least see something going forward, a little life out of Dom's bat.
Yeah, definitely. The good thing that I saw on Monday night, I haven't pulled these stats from the rest of the games, but Monday I was out there, so I was seeing a little more intently. It was kind of nice. It was nice to see that he swung at 3 of the 4 pitches he saw in the heart. As I brought up the last few episodes, again, the heart is the dead center of the plate, that very central square in the middle of the plate. But it was funny that, like, ironically, as we were talking about last episode, he swung at another 0-0 pitch in the shadow, as I've been talking about. Again, the shadow is 2 inches into the plate and 2 inches to the outside of the plate. The pitches that could be strikes and could be balls. Not the types of pitches you want to be swinging at on an 0-0 count. But he got a single off one. So, again, like, he's getting results. The process isn't that great. He's been hitting the ball hard, but he's also been hitting it hard while he's been struggling. I just hope he works out of this.
Yeah, I hope he works out of it because we do need Dom. This offense is significantly better when Dom's just even there existing, which we haven't had in a lot of games. So him putting the ball in play, hitting it hard somewhere, it adds that lineup. It gives even more depth than we already have, which is really nice. We can use it. We want to be successful. We need Dom Smith to be a part of it for sure. We wanted to talk about Trevor May, but we kind of went over it already. Yeah. We thought, it's funny, in the notes, Game 1, Trevor May is broken. Yeah. Game 3 and 4, it's like, oh, he's back. Like, he's fine. There's no issues here.
And we've been saying this for weeks. Like, this is just the nature of relievers. Like, there's ebbs and flows. It looks so much worse because you're only pitching 3-ish innings a week. So giving up a couple of hits will make your stats go way up. Getting a bunch of strikeouts will make the ratios go way down. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to work into things. You're going to work out of them. And Trevor May has now worked into something and back out of it, which is fun.
Yeah, they'll be volatile all year. One guy who hasn't been volatile, though, Edwin Diaz. He is so damn good.
So damn good. The Trumpets, baby.
So good. I mean, if you're a Mets fan, I believe in him. I'm sold. I'm in on Edwin Diaz.
100%.
I refused to watch him last year.
Yeah.
James was my roommate. I would go into my room. I'd close the door and say, tell me when the game's over. I didn't want to see it. You could go through my tweets. You could probably find hundreds of them of me being like, oh, here he comes again. I'm sold. He's just so lights out. He's cash money. I mean, like, this guy comes in and I go, oh, the Mets won. Nice.
Even my dad was similar to you, and I was with him at the game on Monday night. And he's like, I can't believe how much this has changed. When we were at the game on Tuesday, I tweeted. I didn't put in the notes, but I just remembered that there was a little kid next to us. He was like, why isn't Edwin warming up? I'm I know, little kid. I want to do the same thing.
Imagine 2019, even a little bit in 2020, saying, why isn't Edwin Diaz in the game? That's not a sentence that has come out of many Mets fans' mouths.
No, and now it's I can't wait to get him in the game. I love having him in the game. I feel such a sense of security when Edwin Diaz is on the mound. I have never, ever felt a sense of security in my entire life for a Mets closer, excluding Lugo, but he was never actually the closer.
Billy Wagner's probably the closest one, but we were young. We were 10.
I guess, yeah, but he even wasn't perfect with the Mets. Like, his best years were with the Astros and the Phillies.
Of course, yeah. But
he had some injuries.
Yeah.
2007.
Yeah, I mean, you can go through the history of Mets relievers, which we won't because it's depressing, but Edwin Diaz is one of the best that we've had.
That'll be a nice offseason episode, maybe a strike episode.
Yeah, strike episode for 2022. My God, I don't even want to think about that. Game 2, though. Game 2, another Mets win.
Great game.
Me and James were at the game for our boy Ernesto Avaledo's birthday. Yeah, I'm dropping the full name, the government name out there.
And fun fact about Ernesto, he is the biggest Jonathan VR fan in the world. He he wanted the Jonathan VR jersey so bad for his birthday that he went to the Mets store and got a VR jersey customized because they didn't have it in stock.
Yeah, so if you guys want to tweet at him anytime Jonathan VR does something well, because he really does enjoy watching Jonathan VR play baseball. He was a big Marlins fan. He got to see him play a little bit last year. He always talks about the kind of play that he has, and big fan of his. You can follow him on Twitter. You can send him tweets at subtape_. He will appreciate it. It'll make his day. So if you want to make one of our friends' day and just extend the podcast family here, anytime Jonathan VR does something well, at subtape_, let him know.
Again, at subtape_, let him know. But Jonathan VR had a great game on Tuesday night, above it all.
He did. Jonathan
on base 3 times, scored the game-winning run.
He has evolved into a really good player, so much so that the Mets had, been talking about McNeil possibly coming back. McNeil's going to go to the outfield possibly, apparently, because Jonathan VR deserves to stay in the lineup. His OPS is hovering around that 750 to 800 range, which is a plus offensive player this year. He's playing good enough defense where he's not making... He has a lot more range. Well, he has a lot more range than J.D. Davis. He made his errors.
Oh, compared to J.D. Davis.
Yeah.
Great defense.
Yeah,
amazing.
His errors come on a little brain fart kind of stuff. But he gets to balls. You don't think he's incompetent at third base. You can fool me that he's a third baseman.
Yeah, it's fine. He also has a 10.5% walk rate. That will always play at the top of the batting order. Always.
Unheard of from Jonathan VR. The last time he had a walk rate in that ratio, I think he was an all-star back with either the Astros or the Brewers. One of those weird seasons where he was good.
No, 2016 is the last time he had double-digit walk rate.
With the Brewers, right?
Yes. Yeah. He's always hovered in that 8-ish range, but even that 3% bump, that will make a big difference in games. And it made a big difference on Tuesday night because he continued to get on base, and it's just... you see how it affects the opposing team when a guy like VR is on base. People are thinking about him. Even on Wednesday, Contreras hit him in the ear with that gross ass caught steal. He didn't caught stealing, that stolen base.
And it was huge getting on base too, as you just said, because Pete was able to drive him in for the go-ahead run with that sac fly.
Yes.
So, like, he is making things happen. He's getting his start for us at the top of the lineup. Of course, when Nimmo comes back, that's his spot. Mm-hmm. But, hey, we have Jonathan VR on this team, and he has been fantastic.
But Nimmo coming back is now more so an if than a when, because he jammed a finger, and now it's been 2 months.
And has, like, nerve damage, which is terrifying.
Whatever. Who cares? The real story on Tuesday night, we've gone past it, is our boy, the day man, Taijuan Walker. Slayed the night man, dominated on Tuesday night at Citi Field. 12 strikeouts, career high for, I will say this, the best free agent signing of this past offseason.
Yeah, it really comes down to him or like Marcus Semien. I think those are the two guys that you got to have at the top of the line. But here's why Taijuan might be better. It's because the Mets get him for a couple years, and he is dirt cheap. He is basically free.
$10 million.
That's what we paid James McCann.
Oh, my God.
Like, Taijuan is our bulldog. He's our day man, and he just shoved again. This dude, the first inning was a little rough.
Yes.
He didn't necessarily have it at the start.
And they always are.
Yeah, we talked about that. Like, why does he always start off a little bit rough? Maybe he needs to warm up a little bit more. I don't know. But he figures it out, and 12 strikeouts. You don't just walk your way into 12 strikeouts. No. That's a good performance.
Rojas actually mentioned why this start, at least, he could have been struggling at first. Taijuan was actually dealing with a stomach bug leading up to this start. And not that he was in question as to whether he was going to pitch, but they were a little nervous about like how long he could go, how effective he would be. And Jock hit a 108-mile-an-hour single, like the second or third pitch of the game. Then Taijuan immediately hit Chris Bryant on the hand, which turned out to be good. Knocked Chris Bryant out of 2 games. You can't say that's a bad thing. And then he just got out of trouble like he always does. And then it was just like crispy the rest of the way. Smooth sailing.
He was just dotting everybody up. Like we were talking about, we love the umpire's strike 3 looking call, getting the hips. Turn those hips, Blue. Like Taijuan was getting those hips turning all night. He was really good.
And Taijuan had the career high for called third strikes.
Which even plays into more, like he was dominating these Cubs hitters. They had no shot.
Yeah, the only other mistake after, like just besides like singles, was another Javier Baez 2-run home run.
To which, again, stop throwing Javier Baez strikes.
No,
if
never.
You are a major league team, you should literally spike 4 pitches and see if he swings. He probably will swing at least 1, at least. And if Javier Baez walks, he walks. Like, it's either going to be a home run or a strikeout at this point.
Absolutely.
Throw balls.
Absolutely. And then just to dive into Taijuan a little bit, to get into his outing, because it was so good. It was 2-seam city for our boy. I've been calling this pitch a sinker for most of the year because that's how it's listed on Savant and Fangraphs, but everyone in Mets world has been calling this pitch a 2-seamer, and the way it was moving, just sliding around the strike zone Tuesday night, that is definitely a 2-seamer.
He's got like that Bartolo 2-seamer going on where it looks like a wiffle ball, except he's throwing 93, 94, as opposed to Bartolo's like 82.
Yeah. One of his 2-seamers had 21 inches of horizontal movement. That's insane.
The home plate is 17 inches wide. So he's literally moving basically from the other batter's box into the inside corner or the outside corner.
Look at this guy. Knows the home plate dimensions.
Definitely didn't just look it up, press pause, the magic of editing. That never happens.
No, never. But again, this is just like, that's some old school 2-seamer action. It was also pretty cool that he was using it very differently to righties and lefties. Versus lefties, he was keeping it very high, and versus righties, he was keeping it very low. I don't know if that's plan of attack. I don't know if that helps with the way it's moving, but I thought it was interesting that he had a game plan for both sides of the plate. But I digress. Back to the movement in that pitch. Freaking crazy. Average 17 inches of break. High was 21, average 17. That is more than Familia sinker moves.
And Familia has just like one of the nastiest pitches in baseball with that sinker. It moves
Absolutely.
So much.
Everyone knows that. And then again, that 2-seamer wound up with 7 whiffs on 24 swings, which is above average for a 2-seamer, but more so than that, 14 called strikes.
It's nuts.
Crazy. The Cubs weren't even prepared for it. They were just whipping and winding all over the place. No one knew it was coming. They couldn't hit it. They didn't want to hit it. They were scared to hit it. Scared to swing. Chicago Cubs.
He was able to like make it look like it was on the outside corner and go to the inside to a righty, or the vice versa for a lefty. That's almost impossible to hit if you're dotting it up, which it seemed like he was that night because 12 strikeouts. It's pretty good.
Absolutely. And more so helping with those strikeouts were the fact that he was sprinkling in his 4-seamer and his slider very, very, very effectively. Again, 52% of those pitches were 2-seamers, 21% were 4-seamers. He had 3 whiffs on 6 swings with 6 called strikes. The slider, 18% usage. 4 whiffs on 7 swings with 2 called strikes. all those called strikes makes me think that the Cubs had no clue what was coming at them on Tuesday night.
No, they looked fooled at the plate. Literally, Javier Baez and Jock Peterson, those were the two good swings all night.
Yeah. I think Philly Contreras had a couple too, but that's unfounded. I'm not positive.
He also just like swings so hard, so like he might make it look better because he goes up there and actually takes the hardest swing on planet Earth.
Definitely. And there were still like a healthy amount of hard hit balls. Like what's going to happen? He threw mostly fastballs in total, 73% fastballs, almost 3/4. So guys are going to find a way to square that up. But now the Mets are just one of the best defensive teams in baseball. So like who really cares? As long as it's not going over the fence.
We got you covered. What is that? UPS, FedEx? We got you covered. Whatever it is.
Either one.
That's the Mets defense right now.
No free ads, but if either of those guys want to sponsor us, we're here.
Yeah, but literally everywhere. And luckily for us, the offense did enough.
Yes.
The offense did enough because that would have been a shame to spoil that Taiwan outing. And we tried to a little bit, but Pete stepped up big time, 3 RBIs, 2 of which came while I was online for food again, which you then banished me back to the top.
I yelled at you to go to the concession.
Go back to the concession stands because as soon as I came back, I think an out immediately happened. But
we're not superstitious on this podcast, but we are a little stitious.
I was about to say, you better drop. We are a little stitious.
What do you think I am?
I don't know. Soy animal.
Not animal.
But yeah, Pete's so good. He got that big sac fly that we said that Ernie was really happy about to get VR to score. It was a good game, and then we got to go to Lugo for 2.
It was pretty cool that Taiwan was able to just hand the ball to Lugo and then finish it off, and it wasn't clean.
It wasn't clean. Like the first inning was,
The 8th inning was so clean.
Yeah.
Clean as a whistle. Mr. Clean. Pine Sol, baby.
9th inning got a little dicey.
Very dicey. And it was funny because in the bottom of the 8th inning, it flashed on the board that Trevor May is warming up in the bullpen. This is before Trevor May was fixed.
Yes.
He was fixed on Wednesday. This is Tuesday.
This after he got shelled.
We were freaking out.
We're like,
freaking out.
He can't be the guy.
No.
Not tonight. Like, we're going to blow this one.
Anybody
we can't.
else.
So, luckily he didn't come in for us. Lugo stayed in. And it got like, he was good, but he wasn't. And so, yeah, Contreras singled, roped the ball. They brought in Marisnik to run, which is the smart move, especially with the catcher on the bench. You're trying to keep this game going. You have to make that move. And then Sogard pinch hit for Dan Winkler. Eric Sogard, who's a lifetime terrible hitter. And he's just makes some bad decisions. Not part of the point here.
Tons.
Eric Sogard comes up to the plate, puts together a good at-bat, and ropes one to right center field, and we go, oh my God, it's happening. This is the game.
I honestly wasn't even like that. It was like, this was one of the most in-the-moment baseball plays that I've ever witnessed live. Between like the seats we had in the mezzanine, like right on the third base line, the angle the ball was hit, we were staring right at it. Marisnik was rounding the bases coming towards us. Like, this all happened in a flash. And we got him.
I couldn't believe they sent him. Shout out to Willie Harris, who has been...
That's who the third base coach is?
Willie Harris is the Cubs' third base coach. Shout out to him, who is known for his fantastic, spectacular home run robbing catches. Had a couple for the Mets. Did a couple against the Mets as a player of the Nationals.
I remember him being a big thorn in the Mets side.
Yeah, he was. Not a particularly great player, but he, just like Eric Sogard, would cause issues. But luckily, Pilar cut the ball off beautifully in right center. Really should have limited to second and third with one out, but again, terrible job by Gary DiSarcina Part 2 over there with Willie Harris, but cut it off well, and Guillermo made a sick relay throw. Spin, turn. His hands are so lightning quick. You've seen it on double plays, but it really came in here with the relay throw right on the money to James McCann, who just went right in front of the plate, made the tag, got Marisnik at the plate, and that was the ball game.
This is why Luis Guillermo is our guy. Luis Guillermo is not flashy. He's never been a prospect list. ESPN's never going to talk about him. MLB Network's rarely going to talk about him besides when he grabs a bat out of thin air.
24 pitch at bat.
Yeah, like he does like weird, wacky shit like that. But more than that, what Guillermo is fundamentally sound. He does all of the little things right. And this was a play where all the little things mattered. Give Pilar credit too. Give McCann credit too for picking that ball in one hop and getting the tag down, even though he had about 4 steps to do it. It was just a clean play, and that's how you win close games.
And I think it's really worth noting, too, that in a 9th inning in this game, even with our guys, that's probably going to be the defensive alignment. Is you're going to have Pilar in center field because Nimmo will move to left, get Dom out of the game. Pilar in center. Guillermo most likely will be playing second base, especially with McNeil possibly being in the outfield now, and McCann behind home plate. That just shows you alone the conscious effort that the Mets have had to be a better defensive team. If Nimmo and McNeil or Peraza even are there at second base, we don't make that play.
Ramos at catcher?
Yeah, Ramos at catcher who dropped like 3 last year. We don't need to talk about that. The Mets don't make that play without those guys there. putting the guys in the right spot, again, to make the plays. Everything's clicking right for them defensively. You got to love just a smart team.
Definitely. And again, this is the depth we've been talking about. Having the fact that we can have these guys in position to make these plays, just can't say enough about it.
Nope, loved it. And that was luckily how we get the win that night. We got one more out. I don't remember what the final out was.
I remember it was like a long at bat. Maybe someone else even got on base. Something else happened. Whatever.
That was the big play.
I was sweating.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of hands on the head. We stood for 10 straight minutes.
Well, I got to go to the bathroom. You almost missed it.
Yeah, I had to go to the bathroom at one point because I was like, I can't handle this. I don't know how long we're going to take. Luckily, we were good. Yeah. False alarm. But game 3, deGrom.
Much different vibe.
Super different vibe because it started off insane.
Yeah.
Because through 3 innings, the only 3 innings that Jacob deGrom threw, he struck out 8. Had a perfect game.
Yep.
Gary said it on the broadcast, probably had the best 3 innings to start a game in the history of baseball. Think about it. You strike out 8 of the 9 batters you face. You're throwing a perfect game. The record for striking out guys in a row is what, 9 by Seaver?
I thought it was 11.
9, 10, whatever the number is. It didn't come from the first to the fourth.
No.
No one has ever pitched like Jacob deGrom did those first 3 innings, and he got out of the game because of a shoulder soreness.
Before we go into the deGrom injury, which we're going to go into, I saw a crazy stat on Twitter the other day. Jacob deGrom, I'll have you guess. How many hits do you think Jacob deGrom's given up in the first inning this year?
How many hits?
Yeah.
6?
1.
That's crazy.
And it was the second batter he faced all season, Rhys Hoskins, who was thrown out at third base.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, because I hate Rhys Hoskins so much. Who doesn't? That rat fuck.
Loser.
He's another one of the rat fucks of this podcast.
Yeah, we have a couple rat fucks.
But yeah, Jacob, he's so good, man. He's so good. He's literally not a human. And then, again, before the thing, he drove in a run too.
Yes.
He now has, 6 RBIs and has only allowed 4 earned runs on the season?
OPS over 800.
Ohtani who? Not really, but also Ohtani who?
Yeah. Ohtani who? Well, no home runs yet. Once Jake hits the home run, but now it seems like Jake might not be swinging anymore. Now, there's weird conflicting reports today. It kind of feels old Mets.
Yeah.
The way his injury news has come out today, yesterday for your listeners at home.
It's very vague. Very
weird,
behind the curtain. No, they don't want to let anybody know because he exits the game with shoulder soreness, and you go, "Oh my god!"
Yeah,
his elbow hurt last game. His shoulder hurts now. What in the world is going on?
He's dealt with the lat. That's like the trifecta of pitching injuries you don't want to hear.
Yeah,
shoulder, elbow, lat.
That's all big issues.
The holy trinity.
And then today we see tweets that Jacob deGrom got examined, no issues, and he was on the field throwing already.
Yes.
So I don't know what's really going on. I think nobody really knows what's going on besides the guys in that Mets clubhouse. It seems like from the interview with Jeremy Hefner today and everything that no one's particularly worried about Jake.
Nito was making jokes about him on Twitter.
Yeah, so no one's particularly worried, but it would be nice to know what's going on because he is arguably the best player in baseball.
I'm worried.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Us Mets fans are worried.
I'm very worried.
It seems like the Mets themselves aren't, so I guess that should just be a good sign to us of hey, it's okay. We don't have to have, our Stockholm Syndrome of the Wilpons where whatever they tell us isn't necessarily true.
Well, the Mets injury translations,
Yeah.
There was a couple of years ago where McNeil had a sore hamstring that he might take some time on the IL. Translation, we hope he keeps his leg.
Yes. There's been a list of injuries that we've not been told a lot about, and they've become a lot worse. But it seems like deGrom is going to end up being fine so far. Who knows? I don't like even talking about it because it makes me feel so sick.
And also the weird thing is it kind of overshadowed this game, which wound up being a fantastic team victory where all the boys rallied around the best player being injured and played another very clean, easy wire-to-wire game where they won handedly.
Mets scored runs and Sean Reed-Foley gets the win. They need to change the win rule so badly in Major League Baseball. The fact that deGrom doesn't get the win there and Sean Reed-Foley does, we love SRF. He doesn't deserve the win there. There's no world where he pitches less than the starting pitcher and should get the win.
All of my fellow fantasy baseball managers who lost to deGrom last night and didn't get the win, especially in the rotisserie leagues, where those wins are so damn hard to come by, it sucked. That one really hurt. It was like a knife in my side.
Yeah, but luckily for us, SRF did come in, and he got the job done. I think the Mets only gave up, 2 or 3 hits in total on the night. Sean Reed-Foley, I think, gave up one of them. But while he didn't get any strikeouts, 2 innings, no runs.
No runs, but 2 walks. I think there were 2 or 3 hard hit balls. This was the first time that Reed-Foley looked very mortal. and maybe he just wasn't sharp from being in the minor leagues. You don't know how like a demotion like that will wear in a guy's mind.
He also had to get up very quickly.
Yeah, I think Sean Reed-Foley, some games, I bet they tell him, like, be prepared to come in. Like, the Peterson games, the Lucchesi games. Like, these are the days where Reed-Foley's expecting to pitch. deGrom games, he's probably drinking a beer, his feet were up, like, chewing. He probably had a wad of gum in his mouth. Like, he was chilling. He probably had a big meal before the game.
He was like, you guys want me to pitch for deGrom? What happened? Are we up 15? Like, why
am I coming in for deGrom? He'll need long relief today. But so that could have played into it.
Definitely a little bit. I think so. Because it's weird. If deGrom stepped out on the mound for the fourth and they, like, had him throw a warm-up pitch and exit with it, Sean Reed-Foley would have had all the time in the world.
Yeah.
But because they pulled him, Sean Reed-Foley had to go out there, do his minimum, his pitches, and he had to get going. Yeah. So that was a weird decision, but...
You weren't going to send him out there.
You send him out there, and he just stands there, and he goes, it's a little tight. But you get semantics, minutia at this point. It doesn't matter because the Mets still got the job done. And Pilar, Superman, Batman, Iron Man, I don't know what to call this dude, but he has been really, really good for the Mets.
Really good. Again, we mentioned in the offseason, he was like been really sneaky, like a super good hitter over the last 3 or 4 years. He's just continuing to be like a good hitter. He had a couple low weeks out in San Diego. He wasn't really hitting the ball that well, and then this series just came right back.
Yeah, he talked about in Game 2, I believe, he was not happy with his at-bats. And he said he was pull happy. He felt like he was overly aggressive, not swinging at the right pitches. Game 3, he completely blew that out of the water because he probably had his best game as a Met all season, I would say.
Yeah.
What, a home run and a double, I think he had?
Like That's three ribbies or 2 ribbies, something like that.
Yeah, so Kevin Pillar.
It's pretty cool that he can self-diagnose that. That's a real savvy veteran move. That's impressive.
Something you get from a guy who's been in the league for 10 years like Kevin Pillar.
Another guy who won a lot again, as I just had to diatribe about him, is Luis Guillermo. He's a savvy veteran while he's also still like has prospect status. It's kind of ironic what this guy is, but he's just a good hitter now.
That was the guy we hyped up all offseason, was Luis Guillermo.
I love him.
He's our king.
Yes.
We love Luis Guillermo on this podcast, and as a Mets fan, you should too, because, like, especially if you're like one of those old school baseball fans, you gotta love Luis Guillermo. He doesn't wear batting gloves. The dude has, hands made of stone, or not stone. He basically has, like, old man hands. He
can change his hands.
Yes.
They're stone at the box, and then they're like little pillows in the field.
Yes. He's just got he's got rugged hands. He's a man who works with his hands. Like he's the working man's player right there. Puts the ball in play, slaps it around the field wherever you pitch it, and he plays good defense. Like he would have been a star in the 1970s.
Oh my God, he would have been MVP.
Yeah.
Ozzie Smith who?
Luis Guillermo, that's who.
Guillermo this year has more walks than strikeouts. His WRC plus is 119. I was going into tonight, so we'll go down a little bit, but he just does everything right. Yeah. Every single thing right. I have a weird prediction that I think when everyone comes back and his team is very healthy going through July, August, September, he is going to be the cream that rises to the top. He's going to wind up getting the at-bats that we thought VR and JD Davis were going to be getting preseason. I just can't see a way to take him off the field.
No, you can't. You can't. He plays himself into games. Like, while he's not getting the extra base hits right now, it's really not what we need him to do.
He has none on the year. They'll come. It'll happen.
We don't care about that. He play good defense, put the ball in play, do the little things, and Luis Guillermo continues to do that.
And he's hitting the ball harder than he ever has in his whole career. And, like, he had pretty good, like, scouting hit grades, like, coming through the minor leagues. Like, people thought this guy was a hitter. Like, he was doing that. But now, again, he's hitting the ball harder than he ever has. The extra base hits will come. I really think that his ceiling is irregular. I really do.
Okay, I like that. I mean, listen, Guillermo, my boy, follows me on Twitter. Follow the Mets'd podcast, Luis, if you're listening. Because
I wish he'd follow me. His dad follows me, Luis Guillermo Sr.
See, I can't get the Luis Guillermo Sr. follow. His son follows me, who's the Major League Baseball player. The father has no interest in giraffe.
He followed me one time last year when I had like a big long tweet about all Guillermo's great things.
Sounds like I'm putting out a Luis
Guy supports my son.
Yeah, sounds like I'm putting out a Guillermo tweet tomorrow and tagging his dad in it. Don't need Luis's attention. I need the dad's attention. But the Mets continued to play pretty good baseball. Now, we were giving VR a lot of credit earlier in the episode. He did have a rough game defensively.
Yes. Back-to-back
errors.
He does that.
Pete should have dug that ball out. So, like, technically, even Gary was talking about it, like, that's a tough error. But then the next one, he was completely in his head and took way too much time and then made a terrible throw. And Ian Happ, give him credit, busted out of the box. He's not Manny Machado. He's not going to walk out
That happened tonight, too, Thursday night. On that Lindor play in the 8th inning.
Yes, Lindor kind of sat back on
it. Lindor sat back and tried to rush the throw because Happ was busting it. Sneaky athlete, Ian Happ, and he botched it.
But luckily for us, it didn't matter. Yeah. So that's a good thing. Pete should have made the play in the first place. It's still technically VR's error. Nitpicking at this point, though, because who are we to complain about Jonathan VR with all that he's done this season and helping us when we need him?
Absolutely.
And we got Loop in the game as well, who, Loop, there it is. He's good.
It is. He's so good. Aaron Loop, I tweeted this on Wednesday night, has the sneakiest 1.93 ERA in the history of baseball.
We talked about this at the game, talking about Mets all-star pitchers. Now, Aaron Loop won't be one. He will not be an all-star, by no means, because he doesn't have the innings or the strikeouts or anything like that. But the Mets now have like a legitimate group of guys where if you were, looking even in the 90s, you'd go all-star, Taijuan Walker, all-star, Marcus Stroman, Jacob deGrom, Aaron Loop, Edwin Diaz, because those are all guys whose ERAs are like in the 2s, and Diaz has just been so nasty as a closer. Like, it's so wild what's happened with this team.
It's crazy. This back end of the bullpen is so strong. I've been telling you this off the air for weeks now, but I think the Mets have one of the best bullpens in the league. If it's not top 3, it's top 5. And if it's not top 3 or top 5, it might be 1 or 2.
Well, the Mets officially have the best ERA in baseball as a team. We're
Really?
number 1 now.
Nice.
And that's a huge reason because of the bullpen. We have 2 starting pitchers with 5 ERAs. The bullpen has been locked down. We had a debate about Loop or Justin Wilson at one point.
Yes.
Loop was by far the better player.
There were people on the internet telling us that the Mets offseason was a disaster for not re-signing Justin Wilson or throwing money at Brad Hand, who has saves and is still not good.
Which, by the way, going to build into a little bit something that we wanted to talk about. We shouldn't take any opinions from who to get from Mets Twitter because we've been seeing some trade stuff thrown out there, which we'll have an episode our next episode. We're going to do a little bit of like trade deadline talk, have a little segment there. But people talking about trading for Adam Frazier. What were some of the other guys that you saw?
Adam Frazier, Robbie Grossman, Josh Donaldson.
Josh Donaldson's crazy.
It's not even close. Why? In what world do the Mets need these guys? They don't.
No world. Adam Frazier, we have Luis Guillermo, who's just better, honestly.
Truly, yeah. Adam Frazier, he has a barrel rate of under 1%. And again, for listeners at home who don't know what barrels are, barrels have wound up being one of the most predictive and effective stats to judge hitters. They're balls that are put in play of a desirable launch angle and above, I believe it's 105 miles an hour.
You're hitting the ball hard and you're hitting it at the launch angle that should give you a good outcome.
Yes. So again, for all the listeners at home who don't know, we've mentioned this a couple of times. So again, if anyone doesn't know any of the stats or acronyms that we mentioned, please tweet at us. We'd love to explain. A barrel is a ball that is put in play of at least 98 miles an hour with a launch angle between 26 and 30 degrees.
And for those of you at home, that is basically the optimal launch angle for a home run type hit.
Think of it as crushing the ball. That when you have a barrel, you have crushed it. So the guys who have the high barrel rates are the guys who are the best hitters. You look up and down that chart. The leaders are Vlad, Tatis, Ohtani. These are the beasts. These are the guys you want to hit. These are the guys with power. These are the guys who get consistent hits time and time again.
And remember when we were talking about James McCann's lack of barrels, the guy Adam Frazier that a lot of Mets fans for some reason want us to trade for, which makes absolutely zero sense.
None.
Has 2 barrels on the season. Yes, he's hitting 320. Yes, he has an 844 OPS. But it's the fakest 320 with an 844 OPS ever. He simply just doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't swing and miss. That's his big thing.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, great.
He's a scrappy little player. He's a poor man's Jeff McNeil in a sense. But there's no reason for the Mets to trade for him.
He's turning 30. There's no reason the Mets... Sorry, we're just moving into our bad take of the week right now.
Yeah, because, Game 3's over.
Yeah.
May came in, was fixed. Diaz was sick again.
Castro, good. Everyone's good. Bullpen's good now. Just trade Twitter is one of the dumbest places you could ever be. It's up there with hockey replay Twitter and soccer flopping Twitter. It's a place you just never want to find yourself, ever.
Yeah, we've been seeing names thrown out as we mentioned. Let's just go through. Adam Frazier, we just went over him fully. There's no reason.
He's turning 30. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He's an average defender, and he's going to cost money? No.
Absolutely not. We're going to have to give up players for that. Why would we do that?
And he's going to be arbitration eligible, coming off a very good fake statistical season. I don't want to be on the books for that.
No, he's going to be the Pirates all-star most likely.
100%.
Good for him. Happy for him. Go play in Pittsburgh. Great. You'll be on another team that wants you. But the Mets makes no sense. Josh Donaldson. Where do we even get started with that one? Josh Donaldson's
that one comes from Evan Roberts. I will shout him out by name because he gives some pretty bad takes. He is listenable on the radio. Him and Carton are exciting. They're interesting-ish. They don't talk about sports. They don't know anything about sports.
Their insight's terrible.
Awful. Anyone who thinks that the Mets should trade for Josh Donaldson, anyone who thinks the Mets should even trade for a depth infielder doesn't have any idea how this roster is constructed.
You must have been so short-sighted to forget about Robinson Cano that we traded for. That's almost in the same category as when you're talking about Josh Donaldson, a guy who's in his mid-30s, who's getting paid way too much money, and who misses games due to injury every single season, a good chunk of games. Yes, he's a good player, There's no doubt. He's still got something in the tank.
Oh, yeah.
But unless the Twins are giving him to us for free, no players involved, you're going to pay his entire contract, I'm out. There's no reason for it.
And the other irony of these two infield trade targets is that neither of them can play shortstop. If there's one hole this Mets team has, it's a legitimate, defensively sound backup shortstop. I'm sure Guillermo can do it, but I think at this point his athleticism more favors second and third. He can be probably slightly below league average shortstop, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
But that is the one actual infield hole this Mets team has. And the fact that people want the Mets to give up assets for infielders who can't even do that. There's VR, there's Guillermo, JD, McNeil. There's guys who can fill these roles. Peraza is doing an admirable job. I don't want Peraza starting in the NLDS.
No.
But I'd be okay if he was on the roster.
Yeah, we're under the impression that our guys are going to be healthy during this time. So, to freak out, to grab... Adam Frazier doesn't play on this team, by the way, when guys are healthy.
Adam Frazier might not even be in the Major League roster when the guys are healthy. If every single guy in the Mets active roster is healthy, I would option Adam Frazier to AAA. I would.
It's crazy. And then, Robbie Grossman, which, because the Mets need another corner outfielder.
Yeah, exactly. Another corner outfielder without power. It's exactly what the Mets need.
Billy McKinney. We got Billy McKinney. What do we need Robbie Grossman
Robbie
for?
Grossman's a poor man's Brandon Nimmo.
Yes. Literally. He walks
100%.
a ton, doesn't hit for much power. That's about not a great defender either. The names that we're seeing on Mets Twitter, we're going to give you some good ones. Next episode, we're going to give you some fire trade talk names.
Big time trade talk.
Because
Monday.
this is the stuff, these are some of my best YouTube videos talking about trade talks. James knows all the guys that are the sneaky pickups. We're going to give you some good names. Adam Frazier, Robbie Grossman, and Josh Donaldson will be thousands of miles away from that list.
It's not it, fam.
It's so not it. It's so bad. Mets Twitter, we love you, but sometimes you are so off.
Some real bad takes. I'm happy we started this segment. It's kind of fun.
No, it is fun. You get to. It's like a venting.
It's kind of like a venting.
We send these tweets to each other from people that we see all week long, and we get to finally say it out loud, and it's oh God, you agree with me? This is dumb. This doesn't make any sense.
And we don't want to chop anybody down who who's also working, grinding just like us.
Yeah, of course.
Want everyone to make a name for themselves. But a guy like Evan Roberts, I will shit on him because he is 100,000-aire.
He has a platform.
Yes.
We have 1,000 listens. He has hundreds of thousands of listens.
He's on the radio every single day.
Yeah, he gets paid a lot of money.
Tons.
To talk.
And that being said, WFAN, we'd love to come on. Love to come on.
Yeah, Evan Roberts and Carton. We'll argue all day that the Mets should not trade for Josh Donaldson if you want to have that conversation.
Josh Donaldson would bring such an element to this team that they don't have. Yeah, third baseman who can't move. We have two of them.
That we would probably trade prospects for, which we shouldn't do. It's got some good prospects. Let's talk about them because this is the midweek episode. Yep. Prospect review.
Prospect report. Every single midweek we're coming at you talking about some prospects. And this week we are going to kind of massage that prospect report a little bit into the upper level of the minors guys, especially the pitchers, because with Jacob deGrom going down and with 3 doubleheaders coming up in the next 7 days.
Crazy.
I can't believe the MLB did that. I was going to talk about with the Nationals preview. Why did we have to have all these in 1 week? We're playing this team so many more times.
As if we haven't played the Nationals in July, August, September, that we never play them. Phillies, we never play these teams
It's not
again.
like a game was rained out against the A's.
No.
Or the Twins.
The Rockies.
That we have to make it up while they're in town. We're going to play these teams a lot more the rest of the year. For them to schedule all 3 of these doubleheaders in a 7-day span is really fucked up. It's egregious. It's an act of violence by Major League Baseball, and I will not stand for it.
Scheduling's been horrible all season. The fact that the Mets played a night game tonight. The Mets are going to Washington. The Cubs are going back home to Chicago. 2 teams traveling. And they said 7 o'clock start on Thursday night. That makes sense.
It's so stupid. So stupid. But now, back to the prospect report. Get it all out. It was like 10 minutes of whole 10 minutes of venting.
It was good.
Yeah.
We needed it.
So good.
We've been so happy.
Yeah, we usually are. But the 3 guys I'm going to touch on are 3 of the starting pitchers at Syracuse. Thomas Sapuki, Tyler McGill, and Jerry Lightkoff. It's names spelled like Gerard, but again. To start with Sapuki, he's the guy I've been talking about all year to look for, watch out for in the majors. He has gone down his last 2 starts. 2 worst starts of the season, which is really sucks because we'd really like to have him for this next week. We still might see him even amidst his struggles because we just literally need him. I thought it was interesting that he pitched on Wednesday because that basically takes him out of play for the doubleheader. I don't know who was planning these things. Maybe they're just planning to have him for the Monday doubleheader because that's when the Wednesday start lines up.
I think more so with Sapuki, they're more, I think, worried about keeping him on his same schedule and getting him into a rhythm because it seemed like ever since the Mets took him out of that rhythm, when they called him up and didn't use him, he hasn't been nearly as effective.
No. And these last 2 starts, he has 8 walks and 7 2/3 innings. He's given up 9 earned runs.
Bad.
Not been very effective. On the other hand,
this is the guy we want.
Our boy Tyler McGill, shout out Joe DeMayo, that's his boy, on, what's the name of the show?
Mets Retrospective, I think.
Mets
Prospectus? We got to look it up. We got to give him a right shout out. God damn it. That might be funny to leave in. Like, we got to give him the right shout out. Mets Perspective. That's the name.
The Mets Perspective. So I had it right. Okay, thank you. That's his boy. He was on their web SNY. Is it called web show? They're on their show. They have a real television show, I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, very impressive. Love Joe. Really nice guy. Don't know Jacob. I'm sure he's a very nice guy too. But McGill's been grooving. His last start came last Friday. He had 7 strikeouts, only gave up 2 hits, 1 earned run, home run, 2 walks in 5 1/3 innings. After his first rocky start that I talked about last week in AAA, it seems like he acclimated very quickly. It seems like since he hasn't pitched since last Friday, maybe he's the guy who gets the call this Saturday to give some innings during the doubleheader along with Reed Foley and Peterson. Something to watch.
They would just have to clear a 40 spot. That's the thing.
Yeah, they would. But it's kind of cool that for a doubleheader, you get a 27th man, so it kind of acts like a free tryout for the kid.
True.
I say the kid, you're the same age. I think he might be a year older.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Whatever. But won't take an option. Won't send anybody down. Again, you got a clear spot on the 40 man, but so we're going to have to be cutting people this week, which I guess we'll talk about the Nationals preview, whatever. The other guy who I want to mention, who I shouldn't even mention, he stinks, Jared Eichhoff. I thought coming into this offseason that we'd be able to sprinkle the Hefner fairy dust on him and you'd be able to get something there. He's a guy who was on my fantasy baseball watch list in deeper leagues. I thought he'd be able to give some innings. He's had some good strikeout totals in his career, but man, he's been stinking.
Yeah, no, he's not been good.
No, 12 earned runs in his last 2 starts, spanning 11 innings. Like, he even just out of necessity could be a doubleheader guy this weekend or next week because we have 3 of them again.
And the thing with Eichhoff, too, is, like, you add him to the 40, you DF, and you, like, take him off it. The Mets are completely cool, I think, losing Eichhoff in a DFA and just getting those innings out of him if they need to. So
literally getting 4 innings one time.
Not the cool option, not the sexy option by any means, but it might be the most reasonable one because if you're moving guys and DFAing people, he's really, what's the word? Expendable.
Very expendable. Good word. And then just as we do our DeProsky report, I want to dive into the lower levels of minors a little bit. A guy we have not mentioned very much doing this is Mark Vientos, someone who's had critical acclaim in the past, but someone who I don't really see like a superstar or even like a major league regular ceiling out of him. The power has started to come alive, the power that we all know that Vientos has, the power that is going to be the calling card that gets him to the majors one day. Again, that's starting to happen. 3 home runs in his last 6 games, but his Achilles heel, man, the strikeouts. He just can't stop striking out.
And you're striking out at a low level.
Yeah.
That's cause for concern because at the major league level, as we know, the stuff's only getting better.
Much better.
It's not going to get any easier.
No, he's actually decreased his strikeout rate since June 1st with only a 29.2% K rate.
Still so high.
Really bad. I just can't see how someone's successful like that.
But to be happy about some of our guys, though, Alvarez continues to be sick.
Yes.
Beatty continues to be sick.
Yes.
Mauricio, I mean, the 3-headed monster down there in Brooklyn, which we saw, it continues to be great.
Great. Alvarez has had a little bit of a rocky time coming to the Cyclones up from St. Lucie. His average is not where he's used to having it. He's used to hitting 400. He's hitting about 250, 260 right now. But he's still hitting the ball very hard. Stat came through today from Sports Info Stats and Solutions. Like a lot of stats. If you're into stats, they're a great account to follow. Very smart stuff over there, but a lot of crazy stuff. But they keep a lot of like the StatCast type stats on the minor leagues that are not publicly available. And they dropped top 5 hard hit rates in the minor leagues today. And Alvarez was second and Beatty was third.
Which we love to see.
Elite. And I think that bat flip that went viral last weekend from Alvarez is kind of a function of his like relative struggle so far in Brooklyn.
Like a little bit of the
Yeah, he let the demons out, let that thing up in the air. And also the fact that they play 6-game series down in high A.
Yeah.
These guys don't like each other.
No. And as we saw when we saw them play the Hudson Valley Renegades, they almost fought.
Yeah.
So
they played the Hudson Valley Renegades, I think, 12 times this month.
That's too many.
A lot of animosity, I'm sure, between athletes, competitors, guys who are vying for spots against their opponents, and even their own teammates. So that bat flip, I hated that people were kind of getting on him. I understand that like the old men are like, as 19-year-old kids got to throw a bat up in the air. Let him throw the bat up in the air. He's a young kid trying to make it. He finally got a big hit in single A. The hard hit rates, what you want to see from the minor leagues. Mauricio has 7th home run of the season the other night. That's more than he's ever had in a full season before. It was 107.5 miles an hour off the bat.
Crushed.
That's
crushed for a guy who's had issues with power.
And for a 20-year-old who hasn't even fully filled out yet, that's absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, the minor leagues, as we've said every episode, that 3-headed monster, those beasts there at the top of our organization are going to be leading us. That's the next group of guys that's going to be coming up with each other, and it's super exciting for the future. Not going to see them this year, but they are coming, and they're coming hot.
Storming up.
Which now, let's talk about the National Series real quick. We got lucky. We're missing Max Scherzer. IL, which stinks because Max Scherzer is one of the best pitchers in baseball. Like, as a baseball fan, you respect his game. You don't want to see him hurt. But as a Mets fan, you go, oh, thank God, because this Nationals team outside of Max Scherzer is...
Yeah, and they're missing deGrom and they're missing Stroman. So I don't feel very bad about us missing
That's true.
Max Scherzer. It's whatever. Even Steven, baby. But we got Lucchesi tonight, if you're listening on Friday, against Joe Ross, who is not that good. He's been better this year.
He's pitched well against the Mets, too, I think. So Joe Ross was a guy who had some like people's interest in earlier years in his career, but because of injuries and just lack of consistent pitching time, he's kind of fallen into like that just kind of typical 4 or 5 starter. That's okay.
Yeah. Which is fine. That's okay. You need guys who are okay.
Yeah, and he's okay.
Yeah, I'd love to have Joe Ross in the Mets right now. That'd be freaking awesome.
He'd be giving us some innings for sure.
Yeah. And then Saturday is going to be a funky adventure for the Mets and the Nationals and the fans of both teams alike. We got David Peterson starting the one game, and as we mentioned during the prospect report, we have no idea who's starting on Saturday. I don't even think the Mets know who's starting on Saturday, if I'm being honest. It might be Sean Reed-Foley, but again, he threw 40 pitches.
Yeah, he
on
threw
Wednesday,
2 innings, so
unexpectedly. So he could give some innings. It'll be rested enough, but I don't know what's going to happen in that game. I have no idea.
Yeah, no one has a clue, and we don't even have a clue what's going to happen on Sunday.
No clue. I mean, no, Sunday is Taiwan.
Is it Taiwan?
It's supposed to be. He pitched on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, it is Taiwan.
We were there.
What am I doing? These days of the week are all screwed up. It's the summer now.
And we're going to be facing against Corbin. Last time the Mets faced Corbin on a Sunday, we beat him.
We own Corbin.
We do. Everyone seems to now.
It would be nice to have JD back because he really owns Patrick
he does.
Corbin, but of course we don't have him.
Again, the Nationals don't have a starter name for the second game of the doubleheader on Saturday either. That's going to be a weird one.
That's going to be wild. 7 innings.
Have a beer. Just enjoy whatever happens in that game. It's going to be it's either going to be 1-0 or 11-6.
Yeah. It's going to be
weird.
We're in for a weird weekend of baseball here. In for a weird next couple weeks of baseball just because of the sheer amount of games the Mets played. The Mets have one off day, I think, before the All-Star break now, right?
They do, next Thursday.
And then it's just all baseball. So from here on out, the Mets are playing a game every single day.
Next 7 days, the Mets have 3 doubleheaders and 1 off day.
Yeah, thanks, Major League Baseball.
Thanks
Appreciate that scheduling.
Thanks a lot.
Way to go, guys. But Mets are a better team than the Nationals. Juan Soto hasn't been Juan Soto-like this year. He's been, I don't even want to say struggling because he's still good. He's just not really hitting for the power that you expected or you saw the last couple seasons for him. He's going through his little thing. Trey Turner's hit a little bit of a rough patch too, but then Kyle Schwarber started to heat up a little bit.
Yeah.
He's been going off with the home runs. Josh Bell still stinks, but has been better than complete garbage, so that's something to keep an eye out for too. They're just not a better team than the Mets.
I just don't think they're really that good at all. I don't even have a National to watch. They're just not very good.
They don't have anybody interesting from the pitching side outside of Max Scherzer.
And Kate Cavalli.
Yeah, but he's long down there guy. We could talk about Kate Cavalli for hours. That's not we're not a Nationals podcast though.
No.
And I'm sure the Nationals guys love Kate Cavalli as well because
if he was my only prospect, I'd love him too.
Yeah, he's great. But Mets should take this series. It's going to be interesting Saturday, as we've said, but really at the end of the day, the Mets are the better team. Fully expect to win this series, no doubt.
Need the bats, need the defense, need Lucchesi and Peterson to step up, and whoever pitches on Saturday night.
All hands on deck, next man up, resilient team.
Yeah, cliche. This is the cliche hour.
Yeah, we're going to drop all the cliches here because the Mets are going to need them this weekend. Yeah. And as we wrap up here, because, Mets 3 out of 4 from the Cubs, feeling good, still in first place, sitting there with a very comfortable lead. I just want to drop a little something here for you guys. We have made some Mets'd up stickers, so keep an eye out for them. They may or may not be placed in areas that you might be able to find. There could be a couple in our favorite stadium in New York. So if you see them anywhere, maybe on a subway, on the back of a sign, at a baseball game, take a picture of it, tweet us at it, or tweet at us with it. We'll retweet you. We'll drop you a like. We'll give you a comment. We'll give you the clout. So keep an eye out for the Mets'd up stickers. You're going to start to see them popping up all over New York. And that's pretty much going to take us to the end of episode number 24 here of the Mets'd up podcast. A long one, but boy, do we have a lot to talk about here. 4 games, prospect report, bad takes got us going. Next episode, we're going to be going over, of course, the National Series, plus a little trade deadline preview. So make sure you guys are following the podcast on Twitter and Instagram, Mets'd up, so you know when the episodes come out, as well as following us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your stuff, you can find us, as well as YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We're uploading the videos over there. Give us some love, too, if you want to see a video version of what we're talking about here. Otherwise, we are going to wrap up today's episode here. I'm Draft Neck Mark Luino, here with James Shiano. Jeter had no range. Thank you guys for listening to episode number 24 of the Mets'd Up podcast, and we'll see you next time. Voice crack. Bye.
Thanks for listening.